Hey, what's up? Austin here, and today we're going to be taking a look at this brand new electronic drum set from Alesis called the Strata Core. Alesis did send this out for me to review, and I am making this video in partnership with them, so thank you to Alesis for sending this out. So I've had this here for about a week now, and I've been having a lot of fun learning it and dialing it in and exploring what it can do, because I've never really had a full electronic drum set in the studio here to where I can really dive deep into it. So this is all a new experience for me, but so far it's been a lot of fun. Now, earlier this year, Alesis released the Strata Prime, which is their full-sized flagship E-kit. But this Strata Core is a new release, and it's kind of like the little brother to the Strata Prime. So everything on the core is about 30% smaller overall, so it's a much more compact and minimal footprint, but it still has almost all the same functionality and power as the Prime. Now the Prime comes in at a list price of $34.99, but the Core comes in at $19.99. So if this is more in line with your budget and you prefer the smaller footprint, then this is a great option for you. With the Strata Core, you get a set of 12-inch hi-hats, two 12-inch crashes, a 14-inch ride, a 12-inch snare, two 8-inch rack toms, a 10-inch floor tom, and an 8-inch kick tower, along with a full rack and the core drum module, which has a 7-inch touchscreen. And it comes preloaded with a massive BFD sound library, which includes 75 preset kits, 370 different kit pieces, over 800 articulations, and over 144,000 samples. So yeah, it's packed with pretty much everything you would need. Now in terms of the aesthetics, I really like the design that they went with here because it just so happens to match my studio and my brand colors, which are black and white and red. So the shells have this nice black and red kind of striped vibe going on, which looks really nice. You have the black rims, the white mesh heads, the black rack, the black cymbals, and the gold lugs are a nice touch too. Just makes it look very elegant and a little bit sexy, which is nice. So my studio here is just blacked out, so solid black walls, and I have a red rug, so it just kind of blends perfectly into the space. It kind of looks like they were made for each other. So, you know, aesthetics is very subjective, but I really like the design of this. I think it looks really good. So now let's get into how it performs. And one of the most important things an E-kit needs to deliver is a really sensitive and accurate response, so it can feel and sound as close to an acoustic kit as possible. And once I learned how to dial in the trigger sensitivity, I was really impressed by how natural and responsive this thing can feel once you get it dialed in. So the drums have two different zones. You have the center of the head and you have the rim. And the cymbals have three zones. So you have the edge and the bow and the bell. So I'll take you through and show you the range of what these can sound like here. Now with the snare drum, I like to play with a lot of dynamics, so I need everything from super low ghost notes up to loud popping rim shots and everything in between, and this can definitely deliver that. So I'll show you a demonstration across the different drums here. Feels good, sounds good. It's just, it feels like an acoustic drum. So same thing applies to the toms here. And with the kick drum, it's very sensitive as well. So you can have your full strokes, and you can also get it set to where you can just lightly tap it and you get that feathery, papery kind of sound. It's very sensitive. Moving on to the cymbals, I'll take you through the three different zones. You can also mute the cymbals, which is really cool. So once you get it all dialed in, it feels very natural, very responsive. So it's quite impressive, actually. Once you start playing, you just forget that you're playing an electronic drum set. It just feels like you're on an acoustic kit. And the way you dial in your trigger sensitivities is with the trigger tab here on the module. So if I tap here, this takes us into the trigger settings. So what you can do is you can activate the hit select button, and you can just tap on a drum to select it. So now we've selected the snare drum there, and you can see the trigger sensitivity going up there. And down here are all the controls. So you can change the curve response, and you have the sensitivity of the head. You have the sensitivity of the rim. And you also have the threshold, which basically allows you to set the point at which it's not going to make a sound until the velocity goes past that threshold. So I like everything to be as responsive as possible, so I keep the thresholds all the way down at 1 because I want the lowest ghost notes to make a sound. So I keep everything down at 1 for the threshold, but you have the control there to change that if you want to, right? Another cool feature inside here is the hi-hat setup calibration. So if I tap on this, what I can do is loosen up the hi-hat until it's all the way down, and then you just tap to set that as your bottom position, and then you just take it back up to its open position, hit finish, and that's all you got to do. And now the hi-hat is calibrated. Very simple, very easy, but this is a very powerful part of the module. And once you dial in all your settings for the different drums, it really makes everything come to life and just feels very close to an acoustic kit. But now let's go through some other parts of the module here. If we go up to the Browse tab, this is where you have the 75 different preset kits. So ton of things to choose from here. And if you want to select one, you just tap on it. And now you have that kit loaded up. Now I'm not going to go through and play all these different presets, but if you stick around to the end, I'm going to put together a little montage of me playing through some of these kits so you can get a better idea of the range of sounds inside here. But this is your 75 different presets. Now what I like to do is if you go to the very end, you can do an empty kit. And then you can go in here and you can edit this to build a completely custom kit from scratch. So if you have the hit select button activated here, I can just hit the kick drum to select it. And it's not making a sound now because it's empty, but you can just go through here and let's say I want to go to class and then kick, and these are all the different kick drums. So you can cycle through here. And a really cool feature that's kind of hidden inside here is you can tap on a drum, and if you go left and right, you can hear it at different velocities, so you can audition a drum really quickly and hear what it sounds like even without selecting it. So you can go through and just quickly hear all these different drums, which is really cool. So I like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and select it. And as you can see, it says Austin 20-inch steel kick open. Isn't it kind of crazy that Alesis named drums after me? They were like, Austin is so cool, we just have to name some drums after him. So, you know, thanks for that, Alesis. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and select that for the kick. Now we can do the snare. So again, we can just cycle through. Again, we got an Austin 13-inch snare. So I can select that. So now we got a kick and snare. We can go to the tom, do the same thing. So you can see, you can really quickly go through here and set up a fully custom kit. So I'm not going to go through every single kit piece. You get the idea. But once you have this set up, you can just save it. So you can save as and just call it something like my kit. And then save it. Oh, I already have one set as that. So my kit 2. All right, so now it's saved it to my library. So if I go back here and I go to the playlists, you have your user kits here. So now I have my kit 2, which I just built. And this is the one I already had built. And you can just go in here and just create as many custom user kits as you want to. So that's a very powerful system you have there. And you have like an endless amount of sounds from this BFD library to configure any kind of kit you want to. So that's how you build a custom kit through the Browse tab there. So now let's go into the Mix tab here. So within here, you can mix all the different levels to exactly what you want them to be. And you can also apply effects. Now, I've found that everything sounds really balanced at its default position. So I haven't really needed to use this very much, but if you wanted to, you could select any drum and take the level up and down. You can do the same thing with the cymbals. But one thing I do like to do is I go into the ambience and effects section, and I like to add some reverb. So down here, you have this reverb preset. So I can select that. And then that brings up a large selection of different reverbs here. But I just kind of like this send chamber large. So I just select that. So now it's activated there. And then you have the reverb amount here. So I'll show you the range of this. %50 is a pretty good spot for that. And down here in the bottom right, you have this effects amount, which to me sounds like either a close room mic or like an early reflection, but it gives it kind of a nice vibe. So here's what that sounds like. So I go pretty subtle with that, but I like that around 25%. But that's pretty much all I do within the Mix tab is just add reverb. But if you want to get super detailed with your levels, you can do that all from inside here. And if we go into the Jam tab, this is where you could plug your phone in either with an aux cable or with Bluetooth, and you could play along the songs, things like that. And this also has a built-in recorder. So if I just tap the record button, now I'm recording. I can stop, play it back. I can turn the track volume up and down. And if you go into the Browse tab here, you can see the recording, and you could delete it or rename it. Recording 1. So now it's saved there. But I think that's very cool that you just have a built-in recorder right here in the Jam tab. All you have to do is just hit that record button, and you are good to go. Can't get any simpler than that. Another cool feature in the module here that's very handy is a built-in metronome. So if you just tap this, that starts the metronome going. And if you hold down, that brings up the settings. So you can go through and change your beats per minute. You have the number of beats. You have the subdivision. You have different sounds. And if you hold down, you get out of that. So very simple. You just tap it to start, tap it to stop, hold it to get into the settings. Very simple, very handy. It's nice to have just a built-in metronome on the module here at all times. And another thing that's important with these electronic drum sets is how you record them externally, either to a DAW, like I'm doing right now, or if you wanted to send it to a speaker system. So on the back of the core module here, there are two 1/4-inch stereo outputs. So you can see I have two 1/4-inch cables coming out here, and those are going XLR into two inputs on my preamp here. And inside Logic, I'm recording two tracks. So I got the E kit left and the E kit right, and I'm also recording my voice up here at the top. So if I play the drums, you'll see it coming into those two tracks there. So it's actually very simple to record with these things, way simpler than recording an acoustic drum set. So if you're trying to keep things simple and you don't want to buy a full pack of drum microphones and 8 or 10 different microphone cables with stands, and then have to figure out how to mix and edit all that together, which I personally like all that production stuff, but if that's not your thing, then these electronic kits are kind of a godsend to just simplify production massively. So that's how you record with the drum module here. Now with the prime module, it does have 4 assignable outputs, whereas this only has a pair of stereo outputs. So if you want more flexibility to mix different parts of the kit, let's say you wanted to send out the kick drum, the snare drum, the toms, and the cymbals on 4 separate tracks, then you might want to consider the prime for that, because it's going to give you that flexibility. But if you're good with just a pair of stereo outs, then the core is perfect for you. So as you can see, this Strata Core is a really powerful setup for how compact and minimal it is. You have a massive amount of sounds in the drum module here and a ton of settings, so you can really dial it in to respond exactly like you want it to. And it comes in at a much more affordable price point than the Prime. So this is a really great all-around option here. If you want to learn more about this, definitely use my affiliate links down below. And if you decide to purchase one, if you use those links, I do get a small commission. So thank you very much in advance for that. But hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Thank you to Alesis for sending this out. And go ahead and stick around. And I'm going to play through some of these presets so you can get a better idea of the range of sounds you can get from this kit here.